In this video, I'm going to show you how I buy Bitcoin when the price is low and how I sell when the price is high, and how the whole process literally just takes me 5 minutes a day. I'm not analyzing charts all day. I'm not guessing tops or bottoms. I just follow a simple rules-based process that I created myself. What I'm going to do here is show you how I actually think about Bitcoin, how I decide when I think risk is too high, and also when the risk is relatively low, and how I reduce all of that down to a single indicator that I created a few years back, and also why this works without needing constant analysis. It's super simple. Honestly, it's so simple you're probably going to think it's not real. To clarify, this is for people who are buying spot Bitcoin. No leverage trading, no day trading. If you're looking for short-term trades, signals, or something that you need to babysit all day, this video is not for you. But if you want a simple way to make better Bitcoin buying decisions over full cycles, then this video will definitely be worth watching. I'm Harvinder. I've been in Bitcoin since 2015, and over the years I've made a lot and I've lost a lot. And so I've spent a lot of time learning how markets actually work, how cycles work, how they don't always exactly repeat, but they definitely rhyme, and also how to manage risk without trying to predict the future. I now teach a simple rule-based spot-only Bitcoin approach to my private clients. It's not fancy, but it works. And honestly, I said this before, it's so simple, you're not going to believe that it's true. There's a scene in one of my favorite films, Ocean's 12, that's always stuck with me. It's when they've been caught by Benedict, and they're all sitting around the table trying to figure out how they're going to pay him back. So Danny asks the question, how much does everyone owe? Or how much are they short? Linus, I think, is down like 7 million. Rusty's down like 25 million because of his hotels. Danny's down about 10. Everyone's in the red. But when it gets to Ruben, he's like, yeah, I've got the money. And everyone looks at him like, how the hell did that happen? And he said this line that's stuck with me ever since then, and I watched this, 20-something years ago. He says, what, you think the stock market's some great mystery beyond the realm of human understanding? Didn't you see the signs? And I heard that, and I'm like, you know what, that's good, because he's probably right. And this was back in, 2002, whenever the film was made. So that always stuck with me, because what he's really saying is, this isn't magic. It's not luck. It's not guessing. It's understanding the rules of the game, understanding the rules of investing. And that was probably one of my first moments where I realized it's something really important. Markets aren't random. They're structured. Now, people say the markets are rigged. Yeah, maybe, but they're not. They're just not explained. In business, if you don't understand margins, cash flow, or accounting, you're going to struggle because you don't know the rules of the game. That doesn't mean business is rigged. It just means there's a language that you need to learn. And markets are the same. Trading has a language. Most people never learn it. Most people don't even realize there is a language. And then they wonder why they buy low and sell high. And then they wonder why buying low, selling high never works for them. Most people think buying low means cheaper than it was before, and selling high means more expensive than it was before. That's not how low and high works. That's just noise. Low and high only makes sense when you understand where Bitcoin is in its cycle. Without that context, price on its own doesn't really tell you anything. I don't try to call the bottoms. I also don't try to call the tops. What I care about is risk. Where is Bitcoin relative to its own historical behavior? Low and high are zones, not prices. Once you understand that, decision making gets a lot simpler. Now let me show you how this actually works. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you my indicator, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. And let's jump into it now. Okay, now here is my indicator. I've got it loaded up, and I know it looks a bit messy. It's just got all these lines and buy and sell signals everywhere. And I want to zoom in and show you exactly how this works. To put it simply, you've got this red line, which is a moving average, and then you have a green line, which is also a moving average. They're exponential moving averages. And what is basically, when they cross, there's a buy signal or a sell signal. And so if you look over here, when the red line crosses over the green line, there's a buy signal. That means the risk of buying Bitcoin is relatively low and the price is more likely to pump. And so you would buy here. And so you're buying Bitcoin, what, 10 grand, 10th of October. And then you sell when the lines cross back over. Like you can see, the lines are far apart and they're not at any risk of converging. Over here, looked like it could be converging, but it just pumped again. And so you're just waiting for the line to cross back over. And so in this example here, the line crossed over here. The red line crosses back underneath the green line, and that's when you sell. And so you've bought Bitcoin at 10 grand and you're selling at 50 grand. And then what happens then is you can see the price just drops. But then you don't buy back in until they cross back over again. And you can see it cross back over here, 41k. You buy back in, and then there's a sell signal here, and then you buy back in here, and then you sell again over here, and then the price crashes. Now, you notice that there's not a sell signal at the top, and there's also not a buy signal at the bottom. But you're getting that big chunk in the middle. You're saving yourself from that potential loss there, that 30%. But then you're also gaining this massive chunk over here. Yeah, you're not getting the bottom, but you're still getting like a good 400% there. So I created this back in 2021, and I've been following it ever since then, and I've been sharing it with my private clients since then. And if you do the math, and I've got separate spreadsheets that show you, if you just follow this, it pretty much beats holding Bitcoin all day long. Now, I do generally believe that just buying and holding Bitcoin is a great strategy. But if you followed this since the beginning, you'd have like 10x the amount of Bitcoin and fiat. It's definitely worth considering. Like if you're just going to buy and hold, yeah, you'll do well. If you're going to buy and sell when my strategy says to do so, then you're going to do even better. Because if you look at more recent times, the last sell signal, or the last couple, was I think 106, 108k. And then there was a bit of a buy signal here, but then sell signal literally a day or two after. So you would have sold it around about 92k. And even if you bought Bitcoin back now, you're 30% up. You'll have 30% more Bitcoin. And that's pretty much how this strategy works. When I say it takes 5 minutes, it actually takes less than 5 minutes. I just log on. I don't even look at the price too much. I look at the green line and the red line. And I'm like, okay, they're quite far apart. There's not going to be a buy signal anytime soon. But I do come in and check this every day. So the next time I'm going to buy Bitcoin is when this crosses back over. And that's probably, like if things stay flat, that's probably a good month away, or even a few weeks away. Could be even longer. Now, this isn't, like if you calculate how many trades there are a year, there's probably 4 to 5 trades a year. So you're buying and selling 3 to 4, maybe 5 times a year. So it's not even that much. And so this is a long-term play. So I'm waiting for these to cross over, and then I'm going to buy back in. But I can almost guarantee you that it will be at a lower price than I bought it before, when I sold before. So if I sold here at 92, I'd imagine the next buy signal will probably be around about 70. So I've got, what percentage is that? That's a good, 20% extra Bitcoin? And, this compounds over the years. And I have done the math. I have back tested it all the way to the beginning, and this works. Let's just say, for example, you invest £10,000 and you buy Bitcoin. Like this is the start of your investment, and it tells you if my strategy is better off or if just buying and holding is better off. Let's just say you started in 2020. And so 1st of January 2020, you put £10,000 in, $10,000. Now this means that if you use my strategy, you would have approximately $256,000. That's a 2,466% increase. If you just bought and held, then you'd have 100k. And so that's still a good return, 900%. But you can see there's a huge difference here. Like the difference between the strategies is over 150k, which is significant. Let's change it by a year. Let's change it to 2021. The results aren't as impressive, but it's still quite a fair bit of difference. And, we can even go down to 2025. So if you go down to 2025, if you invested using my strategy, you'd be up nearly 12%. If you were just buying and holding, you'd be down 21%. And let's see 2026, it's only a few months, Using my strategy, you'd only be down 3%. If you're just buying and holding, you'd be 16% down. So you can see this works. So all you're doing is you're loading up TradingView and you're literally just waiting for a buy and sell signal. And when it says buy, you buy. And when it says sell, you sell. So once you see it behave like that over full cycles, it stops being emotional. It becomes mechanical. Because you can see it, yeah, there is price volatility, but you're ignoring the noise, you're ignoring the price, you're ignoring the news, everything. You're just watching those two indicators. And so I check the chart, I check the indicator, and that's it. I don't analyze anything else. I'm not on Twitter. I do have an account, but I just don't log on because it's just madness. I don't need opinions. I don't need to watch people's YouTube videos. I don't need news. I just literally follow the process. So you can see during this recent cycle, this approach worked and it reduced my client's exposure when Bitcoin was trading in the 90,000 range. Not because I knew the top, but because the risk was high. And so a sell signal flashed. And since then, the price has come down a long way. Now, buying and holding works. It sounds simple, but very few people actually do it properly. Most people overbuy late. They sit through deep drawdowns and then they sell emotionally. Most people really do buy high and sell low. Now, this approach isn't about being clever. It's about reducing damage and making better decisions over time, unemotionally. I used to share this strategy openly, and the truth is, what I realized is that people don't respect or value stuff they get for free. So I don't give it away for free anymore. Now, I don't even give it out publicly. I only give it to people who I work one-on-one with, people who I can teach it properly to, as well as other investment principles, so they apply it properly. Because a strategy is only useful if it's used correctly. Just to be clear, this is for spot buying Bitcoin only, not leverage trading, no signals, no day trading. This is decision making, not prediction. If you found this really useful, make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to see the full process that I take my one-on-one clients through on how to buy Bitcoin properly, securely, and safely, there's a free video that I've linked below. Links in the description. And if there's any Bitcoin related topics that you want me to cover in any future videos, just leave a message and I'll see what I can do. Thanks for watching.